Hello. It kind of feels weird. I don't know why does it feel weird to see myself on screen? I don't know. It just felt weird. Like, where is this person? Hi baby, how you doing? Good evening. It's evening time here. Hi, thanks for joining me live. So so I'm trying to be serious right now because the first person that joins this life is going to make me start laughing. Okay, so I'm trying to be serious. So hi guys, so welcome to my live. Not my live, like Instagram live. Okay, so this is going to be, as usual, short. I say short and I'm not stick to short, but I'm serious. This is going to be short because where I'm currently. So I got back home, and as I was taking off my shoes, I was like, oh, I think I need to do it live. Like I think I need to go live. So where I'm sitting is might be a bit noisy because I'm close to my door, and this is like commute. So like my neighbors might be trespassing on the corridor. But I sat down here and I felt really comfortable, so I'm not sure I'm going to. I really hope my neighbors' vocal sounds will not disturb. So I'm going to try to quickly jump in. So this is a very short live video. I just wanted to like give an heads up. I know I've been off of here for like some days. To be honest, I've been told to sit my ass down for rest. That was almost like since the beginning of Mercury retrograde. Retrograde is finally over. We're moving into Gemini season, you know, one of the best seasons of the year. To be honest, like I'm not even sure there's any best season. All of them have like, it's just like life. Like there's always going to be like the growth part and the contraction part. It's almost like breathing. You breathe in. Hi, thanks for joining me. Like you breathe in and you have to exhale at some point. You can't hold your breath forever, right? So that's like life. Like in life, there's always going to be expansion and then contraction, right? So, anyways, the topic of this live is just Jupiter. Okay, so I'm going to jump right in. So Jupiter is. Okay, let's start from why Jupiter. So Jupiter just moved into Taurus yesterday. So that was today, 17th of May 2023. And as I say, that's not the actual year. But anyways, let's follow the calendar year. Today is 17th of May 2023. And Jupiter moved into Taurus yesterday, 16th of May 2023. I swear, it feels like I'm not seeing my face for a long time because just looking at me is making me smile. Okay, so Jupiter moved into Taurus yesterday, 16th of May 2023, and it's going to be here for the next 1 year. Okay, so this live video is literally just kind of like just giving you like the foundational work or the foundational information, so like you can really tap into Jupiterian energy. So I'm going to start with this story. So yesterday I was feeling all sorts of way. I've been feeling like that since my mom's posthumous birthday, but I remember it's actually being before then, and then that was on Sunday. So way before then I'd been feeling funky. So on Thursday I just stayed in. Was that Thursday? Yeah, on Thursday I stayed in. I didn't go to work. I was just really all my systems. So I was like, okay. So once all my physical body systems start giving me like alerts, emergency panic, I know like I've overdone it and I'm not really listening to my intuition, which I'd been telling me to sit my ass tight for a while. Then on Friday I went to the hospital. First time in like a long while consulting my doctor. I went in and got some tests done. I tried to do like annual checkups where I kind of like just look through my entire biochemistry. So I went in. I've not done the one for last year actually. It's been over 18 months. right? Because of all the moves and all of those. So I went in on Friday, I did my blood work, and my vitamin D was literally not recordable because it was so freaking low. I was like, oh my goodness, yeah, I know, like, okay, seasonal changes, but I was so not expecting that. Like, my vitamin D was so freaking as low. I also was folic acid deficient. What? Okay, this is what happens when you don't do your annuals. Okay, so this is like, I don't know what this is for. This is a reminder for anyone out there, go do your annuals. I'm a doctor. I don't use Western medicine, but I still do my checkup so that I know what's happening inside my body, especially when I already have the feeling like, okay, something is off, then you can just confirm, okay? So now I'm trying to get my ass into the sun as much as possible, which is not so easy when most days are cloudy and you cannot even see the sun, but I'm trying my best. And it's also led me to kind of like just be a lot more deliberate and intentional about really like deep diving into what particular foods and fruits are like have the highest amount of different vitamins. So for example, like today I realized like plum, was it plum? Yeah, plum actually has a lot of vitamin K, more than apricots or nectarines or peaches. Anyways, where did all that come from? I was going to tell you about my Jupiter experience so far. Okay, so that was Friday. Then Sunday was Mother's Day. I missed my mom so much, so much. And it was also her birthday, so it was like a double whooper. Then today's what? Wednesday. Okay, so yesterday, Tuesday, was 16th, right? Monday was a public holiday in Turkey because we had the election on Sunday, presidential election on Sunday, okay? So, yesterday, 16th, Jupiter moved into Taurus, and my current best friend in Turkey and also my teacher, he was like, okay, do you know what, let's go out. I'm like, where? Like, normally he knows me if it's like, let's go out. I'm usually like, I need to plan like days ahead. I can't just do improv. So he was like, let's go. And all of a sudden I was like, oh, okay, this is good, let's go. And then we went and he showed me pictures like, where are we going? Hope it's not somewhere far. And then we went and it was this amazing field of wildflowers, like from poppies to echinacea, fake echinacea. There's a particular purple spiky plant I'm still trying to identify too. All those tiny yellow flowers, they're not daisies, they're not chrysanthemums, they're just tiny, like they actually shine. I'm going to take a nice picture and put it up somewhere. I found so many different types of plants in this Taurus season. I'm so in love. Okay, anyways, so Jupiter in Taurus. So I'm going to use my story as like an example to give you an overview of what Jupiter in Taurus is really about. Okay, so remember we are still in Taurus season. Taurus season actually ends with entry into Gemini season, which is when the sun moves into Gemini season, and that will be happening on 21st of May. Okay, so on 21st of May we are starting over a new season. We're moving into Gemini season, and I expect things to kind of like, things have slowed down because it's Taurus season. Taurus is a very earth sign, it's fixed. Now, as we move into Gemini is an air sign and it's a mutable air sign. So, be ready to feel like 90 different thoughts are going on in your head at the same time. Okay, so Taurus and Jupiter. I can already feel Gemini season effect. Like, I'm struggling to keep focus on why I started this video. Anyway, so Jupiter in Taurus. So how Taurus season has been for you? How the past 1 month, past 27, today is what, 18, 19, 20. So like, how the past 27 days has been for you will give you an idea of how Jupiter is going to like, which part of your life is going to experience, which part of your life is going to like show you Jupiter's effects for the next 1 year. Okay, so Jupiter is one of the very, very big planets, very beautiful. It's one of the more positive planets, or the one we usually ascribe like positive qualities to. So we say that Jupiter is a benefic planet, Jupiter is kind, Jupiter is more loving, Jupiter is more nurturing, right? As compared to Saturn or Pluto. So Jupiter, but one thing also is also not to remember that nothing is one directional. Everything has like multiple layers. So you have the negatives and then you also have the positive, but they're not really negative and positive. It's just more like, I don't want to say cause and effects, more like chaos and order, or yin and yang. Everything has to balance because everything is interwoven. So the way Jupiter may seem to be all good is also the way that if caution is not taken, then you can kind of like, too much of a good thing is not a good thing. That's literally the essence of Jupiter. Okay, so Jupiter is the planet of abundance, is the one that overrules like laws, legal issues, expansion in any area. So expansion physically, expansion financially, expansion spiritually, it's very important for Jupiter. Jupiter is like the priest, Jupiter is the teacher, Jupiter is the traveler, Jupiter is like the very, very kind king who just gives out all his riches to his subjects. That's really Jupiter, but it may require you to do some work, to account for everything you're getting, but you can be sure like, oh, this person is going to give me a lot of good things in return for the work I've done. Unlike Saturn. Saturn also rewards you, but Saturn's rewards might sometimes look like more work. Okay, so back to Jupiter now. So Jupiter rules Sagittarius and Pisces. So Jupiter for me is very personal, as I'm a Pisces rising. Jupiter is one of my co-rulers, so I'm quite familiar with Jupiter's energy. Jupiter is very optimistic. Jupiterian energy is very optimistic, very philosophical, very spiritual. Okay, that's why you notice like Sagittarius and Pisces, which are the two signs. So Jupiter used to rule Pisces. It was the traditional ruler of Pisces before Neptune was discovered, right? So Jupiter is still a co-ruler of Pisces and is the actual ruler of Sagittarius. So when you look at Sagittarius and Pisces people, are either rising, suns or moon, you see the effect of Jupiter in terms of how they tend to be positive, how they tend to be optimistic, how they tend to be philosophical, how they tend to be big thinkers, how they tend to be sometimes blunt, how they tend to be truthful, how they tend to seek justice out, how they tend to be expansive in mind, how they always want to like learn more, be open to more cultures, be open to more education, be open to more knowledge, be open to more wisdom. Now, okay, I can see. I can follow the thought pattern. I can follow the flow of my thought pattern. Okay, so Jupiter ruling Sagittarius and Pisces gives us a very good idea of how Jupiter's influence can really be brought down into our own, into this current plane of materialism, right? Okay, so Jupiter is the thinker. Jupiter is where you conceive of Jupiter is what helps you to conceive of big ideas. Jupiter is what helps you to broaden your mind. So Jupiter is really all about broadening your mind, expanding your horizon, thinking further and far beyond like your limits or your self-imposed limitations or what you've been taught. Because Jupiter also rules Sag and Pisces, right? So in Pisces, Jupiter is more spiritual, Jupiter is more empathetic, Jupiter is more like a messiah or a savior. In Sagittarius, Jupiter is more like a theologian, a priest, a professor, a traveling professor. You know, all those professors that go to different campuses and teach their subjects based on invitation. So Jupiter's energies. So when you think of Jupiter, I want you to think of a planet that literally expands anything it touches. So most times people think of Jupiter as riches, as material wealth, as abundance, as good luck, because Jupiter is also luck through Sagittarius, right? As good luck, as being in the right place at the right time. Those are all the scenes that literally dwindle down from Jupiterian energy. Now, if you my train of thought is just disappearing on me. Okay, so if you bring down Jupiter's energy and you think about it in terms of Jupiter is, so how I love to teach about astrology, or when like I'm consulting with someone doing like birth readings, birth chart readings, or birth chart interpretations, right? Or I'm just teaching, or I'm just sharing like in a very conversational way. That's actually how it's very conversational. I usually like giving examples that you can easily relate to. So for me, Jupiter, so when you think of Jupiter, I want you to think of Jupiter as expansion. I want you to think of Jupiter as abundance, right? Now, when you think of expansion, put this thought in mind. Anything Jupiter touches, it expands. Anything Saturn touches, it restricts, right? So Jupiter expands beyond comfort zone, beyond previously placed limits or boundaries or borders. Jupiter has no business. Jupiter says, how far can you think? How far can you imagine? Meaning that there is no cap on your imagination. There's nothing that stops you from dreaming of the most out of this world, never before seen phenomenon. Nothing stops you from dreaming or imagining it. And if you can dream it, then you can achieve it. That's Jupiter's message to you. Now, bear in mind that Jupiter is very expansive. Whatever Jupiter touches, it expands. The negative effect of that is Jupiter also wants if your body is ruled by Jupiter, then, or when we're having like a very strong Jupiter transit, then you're prone to like acquiring more body fat. That's also Jupiter. Jupiter also rules body fat. Through Sagittarius and Pisces, Jupiter rules the hips and the buttocks, the body. Okay, so now with Jupiter in Taurus, then Jupiter spends, okay, so before I jump to Jupiter in Taurus, I think you have a very good idea. Just drop like questions in the comments box if you have like more questions. But I really love Jupiter, so I can't really like, I think I love Jupiter. I really love Jupiter. I really love Saturn. And those are like the two planets I'm here to really learn from in this lifetime. So, Jupiter literally expands. Okay, so now let's talk about Jupiter going around the zodiac wheel. Remember, we have 12 signs from Aries through to Pisces. Jupiter has been in Aries for the past 1 year. Jupiter spends 1 year in each of the signs because we have 12 signs, so it ends up spending 12 years in its cycle, right? That's including plus or minus retrograde periods, right? So now that Jupiter moved into Taurus yesterday, is going to, or 16th, because I don't know when you're going to watch this video. Jupiter moved into Taurus on 16th of May and it's going to be there for the next 1 year. So what do you think we can expect? If you've been following like your energy, if you've been trying to kind of like understand yourself better, and because you know we are also just finishing up with Mercury retrograde in Taurus, I think it made people really slow down a lot and really connect to the bodies. It would have really helped you to kind of like have a clear idea of what aspect of your life was being impacted by the current energies. So we are all different. So even if you're also a Pisces rising, you might be a different sun sign. You would have a different moon sign. You'd have a different Venus sign. You have a different Mars sign. Even if you're still a Pisces rising, you're still a different degree Pisces rising. We all have different birth charts. We have different natal charts. And your your I think I should drink tea. When you were born, your birth chart, which was drawn at the time you took your first breath, which is when you signal that okay, you've come into this new reality. Your birth chart is very, very different from any other person's birth chart, right? So in your birth chart, you're going to see the exact placement of all your different signs. Like you have 12 signs, I've got 12 signs, everybody has 12 signs, right? But then we have planets sitting in those 12 signs at different spots, at different points, and forming different relationships with all the different planets sitting in the different signs at different spots, which are the houses, right? So for Jupiter in Taurus, so Jupiter moving into Taurus, what do you think it means? So if you look at your life in the past 27-ish days, if you're not familiar with your, I guess, thanks for joining me live. If you're not familiar with your birth chart, I really, really strongly urge you to get familiar with your birth chart. I think I've been saying this for the past 2 years. Google is no longer free, literally. Right now, you're not seeing it, but very soon. Right now, you're not seeing, but the truth is, a lot of information has gone on Google, a lot of free information. So even if you think that getting your birth chart done is not important, or understanding what your birth chart is not important for you, it's not important enough for you to consult with someone to kind of like walk you through, I'll strongly advise just go on Google. I love Astro.com. Astro.com is like my home for astrology calculations. Go there, put in your birth chart, and to show you, it is computer drawn, it will show your birth chart so that you have a fair idea of where your different signs, the different houses they're occupying. You know your rising sign, you know where your sun is. Even if you're a Leo sun, what house is your Leo sun occupying, which shows you where you can direct most of your life force energy, right? Okay, let's not get distracted. Back to Jupiter in Taurus. So Jupiter in Taurus is very, first of all, you need to personalize it to the house in which you have Taurus, which that's what is going to make the effect more pronounced. And the more you know something, the more you understand it, the more you can work with it. That's just the simple logic of life. If you don't know, you won't understand it. So even if things are happening, you feel like things are happening, not being able to understand why or how or what can be done just kind of like makes it useless that you actually know that things are happening, don't you think? And before you get all like, oh, astrology, no, I don't to be honest, I don't even use astrology every day. Excuse me, I don't use astrology every day. I'm aware of it because it's like part and parcel of me. But I don't go around like, oh, what's happening today? No. But what I do is I usually kind of like plan my month ahead. So when we have like very, very important transits, like tomorrow, 18th of May, we're having Jupiter squaring Pluto. Now that's a very intense, energetic day. So I know and I'm able to prepare better to have a very, very wonderful day. Do you get? So now back to Jupiter in Taurus, because remember, like Jupiter is expansive. Jupiter expands everything it touches, right? So what do you think Jupiter in Taurus is going to be all about? So you can be sure Jupiter in Taurus is going to be an expansion of food, the kind of food we've been eating, new foods will be introduced. I'm not surprised that yesterday a new world record was what's the verb? A new world record was created or whatever for a cooking competition. Yeah, that's Jupiter in Taurus. Like sometimes it's so amazing when you see how literal the energies kind of like just explain themselves. For me, Jupiter in Taurus, it happened yesterday, and in the time it happened, I got unexpected invite to go to a field of wildflowers, which was just outside like the city. Now, if I should explain from my end, because I'm a Pisces rising, Taurus is my third house, right? So Taurus is my third house of my neighborhood. Taurus is my third house of my siblings, the people I talk to, like not just my siblings, my neighbors, the people I relate to on a daily, my connection to my connection to like my neighborhood, my connection to early education, right? My connection to grounded education, primary education, pre-education, education at the beginning of life. And guess what happened? So Jupiter in Taurus, if I'm going to explain literally, Jupiter is my expansion in terms of, okay, Jupiter rules Sagittarius for me. The house Sagittarius is in requires me to always expand beyond limited scope. So Jupiter in Taurus for me was Jupiter came in expanding Taurus, remember Taurus is my third house. So Jupiter came in, immediately expanded my neighborhood, because the field I went to, I would have never in a billion years guessed it was where it was, because it's literally just maybe 20 minutes drive away from me, but it felt like I was out in the country. Do you understand? It was a very wide expanse of wildflower, just a very wide undeveloped area, like literally within the city. It was smack dab within the city. It's not a park, it's just an undeveloped land, and it's filled with wildflowers. Like, it was just amazing. Okay, so that's how literal Jupiter in Taurus can. That's how literal astrology can be, if you like literally like understand it and you're able to like bring it down to you, to personalize it to you. Okay, so Jupiter came into Taurus and immediately expanded my neighborhood. So now I know there's something like that in my neighborhood. It also immediately expanded my communication with my neighbors, literally. So the person I went to the field with, we had a very heart-to-heart conversation that was so unexpected, and it kind of like just broke our conversation and took it to another level. Okay, Jupiter is also, so Taurus is also my first house of speaking, because your third house is your speaking, your communication. Remember, it's a Gemini house. Okay, so that's your speaking, your communication, your relatives, your neighbors, your siblings, your primary school friends, like your early education basically. So what happened was I also started conversing in Turkish. Which, although it was very quick to point out, like, I've been a slow learner, but I was really, so that yesterday was just like, oh, okay, so now I have a very good idea of what the next 1 year is going to bring in terms of Jupiterian energy. Remember, I remember it's not like Jupiter is causing these things. Jupiter is simply reflecting what is happening on Earth. That's what astrology is. Astrology is not causing anything. Astrology is simply reflecting what's happening in Earth's cycle. Okay, so with either you are aware of it or you're not, it's happening still. It's just like oxygen. I can't see it, I can't smell it, I can't see it, I can't smell it, I can't touch it, I can't taste it. But does that mean like I'm not breathing in oxygen, or my lungs are not taking in oxygen, or oxygen is not traveling around all the cells in my body? No. That's the same as astrology is. Okay, so back to Jupiter in Taurus. So remember, Taurus is food collectively, right? Taurus is in the second house. So our second house rules our assets, our resources, landed assets, monetary assets, gold, stocks, literally assets that can be used to achieve your goals. So any assets, either liquid or cash, but people mostly put money in Taurus, but I don't put, because money is an energy, so I won't put money in Taurus, right? But you can think of your assets, resources. So your resources includes your food, your time, your skills, your gifts, your assets still. Okay, so assets, resources, land, food, your body, because your body is also a resource. Your body is also an asset. If you didn't know that before, now I hope you really know now. Your body is also an asset. In fact, it's the most important asset you can probably own. because your body is the only thing that stays with you all through life. So your body, your throat, Taurus rules the throat, Taurus rules the voice, okay? So Taurus rules your throat, your voice, your body, your resources, your assets, your land, your time, your food. If you've been paying attention to like past 27 days, you have a very, very good idea. Hi guys, thanks for joining me live. You have a very good idea of the house you have Taurus in, and what is going to be, what has been in focus for the past 27 days, either directly or indirectly, but you would have realized that a lot more of your energies, a lot more of your attention was required in those areas. For me, Taurus is my third house, right? So it's been around the subject, I'll call it, around the thematic areas I mentioned previously. Okay, so Jupiter in Taurus is going to bring an expansion to these parts as the collective. So we can expect an expansion in kind of foods we eat. I foresee a scarcity of food with all the nonsense they'll be doing, but it's really a false scarcity. So expect that we would see that all the things we've been learning about, food. It's almost like you have to, which one do you want to believe? Do you want to believe that there's no food, like there's no food for everyone on earth? Is that what you want to believe? Because if you believe that, then you're going to continue along that path. Or do you want to believe that there's more than enough for everyone? And if you believe there's more than enough for everyone, then you're going to continue along that path. Remember I said Jupiter is an expander. And then because Jupiter is very philosophical, Jupiter is very mental. Jupiter exists mainly in the mental space, and then you can bring down the rewards to the material space. But Jupiter starts from the mental phase. Okay, so however your thoughts limit you, you'd find more of it happening. Like almost like if you are set in your limiting patterns and limiting thoughts and limiting beliefs, you find like you'll be more restricted by those limiting beliefs, thoughts and patterns over the next 1 year. If you're very optimistic, if you're philosophical, if you're spiritual, you find that you would also have a blossoming of your philosophies and optimism in the areas ruled by Taurus in your chart. Okay, so collectively Taurus is our second house. Okay, and so Jupiter in Taurus is going to be expanding how we use our food, how we use our resources, how assets are being exchanged. So the changes we've been seeing, remember we also still have the North Node in Taurus. So the changes, because North Node and Uranus in Taurus. So now imagine North Node, Uranus and Jupiter and now in Taurus. In fact, right now we have the Sun in Taurus, we have the Moon in Taurus, we have Mercury in Taurus, we have North Node in Taurus, we have Uranus in Taurus, we have Jupiter in Taurus, right? Mars is in Cancer. No, Mars is in Cancer, moving into Leo. Venus is in Cancer, Pluto is in Aquarius. Who is missing? Saturn is in Pisces. Yeah, that's everyone. So imagine that we have so many, so many. Hi guys, thanks for joining me live. We have so many planets in Taurus. So all the changes we've been seeing with our assets, with resources, with finances, so all those things, we are now going to see how they are going to blossom out. Okay, so if you've been having a scarcity mindset, then you see how your scarcity mindset is going to limit you, because opportunities will come, because that's Jupiter. Jupiter will always bring the opportunities, but your scarcity mindset is not going to make it easy for you to access those opportunities, because your limiting beliefs will already close your mind from even being open to consider the possibilities of those opportunities arriving. Okay, now we are also going to be having changes in our land borders. So we've already started seeing that with Russia and China. Expect to see more of that with countries expanding their, like, countries are no more saying my border ends here. No, a lot of countries, especially the major players, are going to be expanding their borders because Jupiter needs to expand. But as they expand, remember, like, it's expansion and contraction, okay? Then let's see time. Right now, some of us are able to slow down time. We're able to speed down time. Expect to hear more of that in terms of how time would seemingly expanded. So whereas we know an hour is 60 minutes, expect to see more of instances and learning more of how you can actually fit a lot more. How you almost like time productivity acts, okay? So expect to learn, like, hear more about time productivity acts that will help you to do a lot more in 1 hour, that will make it seem like you've actually expanded. Because that's the thing, when you are doing something enjoyable, you actually expand time. you actually expand and you slow down time. But when you're doing something you don't like, sometimes you feel like the time is going faster or you've expanded it. It's really, see, this our mind is so powerful, like, to comprehend all the things that it's capable of. Just steals my words, it steals my breath. Okay, what else I want to tell you about Jupiter and Taurus? Okay, so I just want you to remember keywords: Jupiter, expansion, Taurus, all these things. I'm being led to speak less of collective impact and more of I'm being more drawn to individual impacts. Okay, so I'll just do a quick overview of like different houses and where your Jupiter, where your Taurus will be. Oof. Okay, so if you're Pisces rising, yes, your Taurus is in your third house, so expect opportunities to expand your horizon in terms of your neighbors. Expect more communication opportunities, the opportunities for you to learn more from people around you, opportunities for you to explore more of your neighborhood. Expect opportunities to contribute more to your neighborhood. So remember, Jupiter is also like the philosophical leader. So Jupiter always contributes. Jupiter looks for how it can uplift. Okay, so look out for those opportunities. If you're a Taurus rising, so Jupiter is your first house. So expect changes to your physical appearance. You have to really, really be careful about the food you eat. Remember, Jupiter is expansive and Taurus is food based, right? And then Jupiter is more of the sweet tooth, as also with Sun and Leo. So what I want you to do is be very careful of your food. I'm not saying diet, but be exercise caution and moderation in your food, because you have the tendency to put on a lot of weight in a very short time. Like, you would not even realize it, but then it happens. Let's see, which other one should we do? Let's see, if you have your Taurus in your 4th house, right? Okay, so if you have Taurus in your 4th house, that means you're an Aquarius rising. So Jupiter is going to be expanding your home. Some of you may need to move. You may realize that you're moving to a bigger home, or you're incurring more expenses in your home. You might also be a bit more confined to your home, and you find out like you're spending a lot more time in your home than you normally would. For some, that also means like an expansion of family. Okay, like the people under your roof, you're going to like increase the number. But then it's also an opportunity to deepen your roots with your ancestors, both living and dead, because your 4th house is your home, is your roots. Okay, now let's see, if you're an Aries rising, Taurus is your 2nd house. So your resources, your assets, your land, your voice, okay, your food, all of those things are under the influence of Jupiter now, and they're going to experience like an expansion. Okay, so be on the lookout for more opportunities to make more money. Be on the lookout for more opportunities to invest your assets, because Jupiter, as I said, Jupiter is like, give me the work and I'll bless you, and I'll like reward your efforts. Okay, so look out for opportunities to invest your assets, because if you do that, and then remember, like, Jupiter is a bringer of luck and optimism. Okay, so when you invest your assets over this 1 year, you're always going to get a very good return. Okay, this is also a time. Okay, so let's see. If you are a Capricorn rising, Taurus is your 5th house. Okay, so Jupiter is going to be expanding your creative work. It's going to be expanding your work with children. It's going to be expanding literally how you express yourself creatively, artistic imagination. So if you're an artist, and we are all creative, so it's just that we are creative in different ways. So if you're an artist or a musician, look, especially on Jupiter's day, which is Thursday, and then on days when we have like very strong transits, and if you also look at your charts on days when like you have very strong aspects or like strong transits or progressions, that's also very good. It's kind of like work a lot on your work, on your art, on your music, whatever your art form is, music, painting. You'll be surprised at how so if normally you have like, if you're an artist, maybe normally you have like 100 people buying your work, you'll be surprised that it just shoots up to 100,000, and you're like, from where? Just give it a year. By the time Jupiter is moving into Gemini, look back to when Jupiter started, like when Jupiter moved into Taurus, which was yesterday. Okay, 16th of May. Let's see, one more. If you are, don't mind me, I'm literally having mental calculations right now. Okay, if you have Jupiter in your 7th house, okay, if you have Jupiter in your 7th house, which is your house of partnerships, which is your house of relationships, which is your house of the other person. Okay, if you are single, over this next 1 year, expect a lot of good suitors. Expect a lot of them to cross your way. Expect a lot of people to compliment you more. Expect a lot more people to want to go into a one-on-one relationship with you, and not just like intimate relationship. No, it's still intimate, not just sexual relationship. I mean, it could also be business relationship. It could also be like partnership relationship. Okay, so over the next 1 year, you have the opportunity to do a lot more partnership work, have a lot more suitors walk up to you, if you want to date 100 people at once, this is the year to do, because Jupiter is in Taurus and is in your 7th house. So you have it. And remember that Taurus is an attractive energy because of the Venusian influence, right? So expect like you're literally going to be a magnet. I remember in my head when I was younger. You're literally going to be a magnet. Thank you for joining me live. Alright, so let's see, one more thing. And if Jupiter is in your 12th house, this 1 year is going to be a year of intense transformations for you, where you feel like things you previously knew about the people in your life, or things you previously knew about yourself, your ideologies, your philosophies, expect all of those to undergo like a deep radical change that would kind of like open you up to experiencing the world more. Do you understand? So if you've been purely religious, this Jupiter's transit through your 12th house is going to help you to convert those religious ideals and philosophies into more of like a spiritual work, spiritual growth. Okay, but there's also the tendency to use a lot more substances, because 12th house is also the house of loss and addictions and dreams and entering alternate realities. Okay, so one more thing. I said this was going to be very short. One more thing. Jupiter. One more thing. Okay, yes. Okay, so tomorrow, the reason why I really started this live, aside from telling you about Jupiter's transit, because I could have still done that any time in the year, right? Tomorrow, 18th of May, Jupiter is going to square Pluto. Pluto is currently retrograding in Aquarius, and Jupiter is currently in Taurus, right? So Jupiter squaring Pluto is almost like, remember, I'm about to say, remember when I said Bummer? I don't even I myself, I don't even know the video in which I mentioned it. I'm sure it's somewhere in my feed, or maybe on YouTube. I think it's somewhere on IG. Anyway, so Jupiter squaring Pluto, it means that astrology is just like maths, right? So if you don't like maths, there's a point you may not like astrology. But anyway, so Jupiter squaring Pluto. So Jupiter is in Taurus and Pluto is at a square, so they form a 90-degree angle. And then anything at 90-degree angle, so imagine if you were driving your car, right, and you were driving this way and another car was coming this way. What's going to happen? You guys are going to like boom, and you're going to have a collision. That collision is going to, because this is moving with force, you're driving, you're moving with force, it's energy. This car is also driving and it's moving with force. When two forces combine, you're going to have a resultant force. So this either does boom or this does boom. But then what happens is those two energies, those two forces are going to combine to create a third resultant combatant. It may not be combatant, it might be like a reductive or deductive force, but what's going to happen is there's going to be a third direction. Now, if you bring that to the planets are literally not colliding, but because of the different houses and the signs they occupy, you currently form a 90-degree angle, which is the square. 90-degree angles are squares, they are very tense, the energy is very tense, but not tense bad. It's just like it's very ripe. So like they're colliding, like the planets are not colliding, but the angles, their aspects are colliding. So it's like this. So imagine this square. Remember that in this cycle of life, there are really no sharp angles. So when we have sharp angles, imagine like, now I wish I had a third hand to kind of like point in the middle. But this area right here, this 90-degree angle, I'm sure you remember your basic maths. This 90-degree angle is very full of energy waiting to be honest, because it's very ripe. So what happens is Jupiter squaring Pluto tomorrow so it could manifest in different ways, right? So let's look at some of the different ways it could manifest. So for some, you might run into issues with the law. So I would advise tomorrow is not the day to do any hanky-panky dealings. If you're not sure of something you're working on in terms of if it's legal or lawful, or if it's going to get you in trouble with the law, tomorrow is not the day you should do it, because trust me, you get into trouble. Remember, Pluto is the one that uproots. Pluto is the one that transforms from the roots. Okay, so Pluto squaring Jupiter tomorrow is not the day to do any shady business or transaction or any shady thing. You'll be caught. Okay, Jupiter squaring Pluto also brings the opportunity to expand your mindset in terms, especially if you've been operating from a limited belief or conditioning or limited or conditioned pattern of behavior. You're going to have the opportunity to reevaluate your mindset, and you might realize like your mindset has really limited you in terms of how you approach a situation. Okay, now tomorrow also Jupiter and squaring Pluto. Jupiter, remember, Jupiter is the authority. Jupiter is like the king. Jupiter is the lawmaker. Jupiter is the politicians, So Jupiter squaring Pluto, you might run into trouble with people in authority, in terms of they might actually come to you to ask for your help. Maybe so what you also, because of Jupiter is very expansive. So what might possibly happen is you can have an idea of a new way to do things, a new way to switch up the tradition, a new way to improve a currently existing business or an idea or a coursework or something. you have an idea to improve it, but you then run into trouble with the authorities who like your idea, but they may have trouble understanding the logic of it or the tradition of it, or maybe it seems to break away from tradition, the way they've always done things. So don't take it personally, but be aware of these things and make sure that be very careful, because Jupiter can also lead us to blind faith, where you're just optimistic and what you're believing actually doesn't hold water. Is very, very shaky. So be very careful of that tomorrow, in sense that you don't get carried away trying to defend what doesn't need to be defended, because it should not even be defended in the first place, because what you're trying to defend does not even, maybe it's not even legal, or it's not lawful, or it's actually not even the truth. Okay, so tomorrow I would say that you should try to ensure that before you endorse anything, before you say anything, before you put your money or your mouth or your time, remember, like, so Jupiter and Taurus, so your assets, your time is also your assets, your resources. Be very careful, even if it's investment, before you put your assets and resources behind anything, be very sure that it is truly what it is said to be. Okay? Alright, darling. So let me know how your Taurus season has been so far. We're having a new moon in 2 days. We're having a new moon in Taurus in 2 days. It's the first new moon in Taurus. Yeah, there's not been an eclipse. And then on 21st, we are going to go into Gemini season. So I expect like the pace of things to pick up again. Really, that's it. I didn't even think I would speak for this long. Alright guys, so I hope you've been good. So let me know in the comments how Taurus season has been for you and what you think. And if you know your sign, let me know where is Taurus. If you know your houses, if you know your chart, let me know where is Taurus in your chart, and then we can like talk about what you think Jupiter is going to bring for you for the next 1 year. Alright guys, so if you actually, I'm so good at my eyes started out and like, okay mom, you've looked at the screen too much, it's time for us to go and sleep. Okay, so if you've been wanting to book a reading with me, please visit my website. Okay, you find my currently offered offerings. That felt like that definitely sounds like a repetition. You'll find my current offerings on my website. Okay, so if you've been led to work with me, please visit my website. You can book a reading. You can also book, I have limited spots for natal chart interpretation because I take a lot of time with them. So for natal chart interpretations, first of all, after you book, you pick an available date from my calendar, and then we have our first meeting where I walk you through your chart so you basically understand. And trust, I think of all the sessions for birth chart interpretation offerings, the first session is always the most interesting one for me, and also with person on the other end. Because person just, it's almost like a door unlocks, almost like you get a secret key to open them, because you now start seeing how all your life experiences are connected to one another, like connected. Hi guys, thanks for joining me live. You start seeing how all your life experiences are connected to one another, and you're like, oh, is that why that happened to me when I was a child? Oh, that's why my mom gave birth to me in the house instead of the hospital. Oh, I promise you everything, even down to where you live, if you've traveled out of your own country, if you've relocated, everything is in your astrology chart. It's mind-boggling. Anyways, then after the first session, second session we usually hold like 3 months after the first session. 3 months. Because in that 3 months period, what happens is like I do a crazy deep dive into your charts. Considering that I'm someone that I don't have any limits, I go all the way because I really just want you to have a manual for life. I feel like I'm not saying a machine, but you should have a manual, like a guiding blueprint. We all need something. Okay, and I'm saying that something is personalized to you. Why won't you want it? Anyway, so second session, 3 months after, you get your PDF blueprint, okay, which deep dives into all the different, and it's not just about your signs now. I really go deep into your aspects, your energies, how to use it, what to look out for, your health, where you should travel to, where you should relocate to, all of those things, because I don't want you coming back to me. So I give you everything. Then I send it to you via mail, you read very well, and then you come back for your third session, which any questions you have. Funny enough, I'm not even sure I've held so many third sessions, because third sessions, what happens is everyone comes back like, oh, they have questions, and then they're like, oh no, I don't want a question, I want to do a psychic reading instead. Because now you understand yourself so much that when I then do a psychic reading for you, it just connects, like everything just connects. Pam, 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 pam. Okay, so sometimes I feel like saying, okay, if you're a new person, let me do your birth chart first so you understand yourself. So when I'm doing a psychic reading and giving you messages from the future, you're able to connect it because you understand your past. You have a fairly good understanding of your present. So when I tell you about what the future holds for you and how to get to that future that is best for you, it's very easy for you to follow the steps. Do you get? Anyways, I'm talking too much. Oh, I'm talking so much. Okay, so hi guys, thanks for joining me live. I've actually come to the end of the live, so you need to watch afterwards, but I'll definitely save it. Okay, so if so, let's round up. If you want to book a reading with me, if you want to book a birth chart interpretation, please visit my website. You have all the information on my website, and I can't wait to work with you. Okay. Yes, you guys, you actually came late. I'm actually done, but please watch this, because okay, so let me do a quick recap. I covered, so Jupiter entered Taurus yesterday and it's going to be here for the next 1 year. So I covered everything about Jupiter. I covered a lot about Taurus, and if you've been paying attention to your life in the past 27 days, you know where Taurus and what area of life he rules for you. So you know what the next 1 year is going to hold in terms of where do you have opportunities to expand. Okay. Yeah, sorry. I understand. Like I literally just got home too and I sat down, so I have this like 2-chair table thingy where I sit on to take off my shoes, and as I sat I was like, let me just do a live recording for this Jupiter transit. So but don't worry, I'll save it, you can watch it. Okay. Then final thing, tomorrow is a very, very important date. Jupiter squares Pluto, so be very careful with authority figures, be very careful of shady stuff, okay? But I'll save this, I'll end this now, I'll save it and you can watch all of it, okay? Alright guys, happy new moon in Taurus in advance. I'm not sure if I'm going to do a reading. I actually brought my cards. I was led to bring my cards. I was thinking I was going to do a reading on this live, but I don't think so. But I can promise that, tentatively promise, I'm going to do a new moon in Taurus reading that'll be on YouTube. And I'll also do maybe pick a card for Jupiter transiting to Taurus, okay? And I'm slowly going to come back to doing collective readings, okay? Alright guys, I love you so much. Bye. Yes, please.